Jeffrey here again from Old American Iron. Oh, we're not looking at old machinery here, but this grain bin I can have for taking down, and my plan is to take it down and set it up somewhat like a Quonset hut. It's 30 feet in diameter, 17 and a half feet tall, so I should wind up with a Quonset hut style building that'd be 30 feet wide and 35 feet long. This is a view of the inside. What you see up on at the top is what's called a stirrator. Those rods rotate and stir the grain as that arm goes around the track on the outside of the bin to help stir the grain to make it dry better is the concept. And you can see it pivots in the center hanging from the ceiling. And my plan is to use part of that for scaffolding I have to make up in order to take the roof off. Here's another shot of the stirrator rods, and I'm starting to set up scaffolding, which is going to be used to get up high enough to work on disassembly. At this point, I'm just climbing up there, looking things over, trying to plan how I'm going to do it. Here's a shot of my scaffolding I built on channels that hold the stirrator. I've already removed the big electric motor that ran the stirrator, and to the lower right hand corner you can see my scaffolding I had to set underneath the end of the channels for it to pivot as I went around taking the roof panels off, because I had to disconnect the support where it had originally hung from the roof. And in this shot I've already taken off 2 roof panels. At this point I had worked my way all the way around, so I only had 5 roof panels left. Here you can see the entire scaffolding I had built in order to work off of. I had told my wife that I had pictures of what I was doing, but she probably wouldn't want to see them. So I've been pretty happy with how it's been going so far. I thought I'd include a shot of standing up on the scaffolding when I only had those few panels left. So this is the view of what I could see, and I was getting pretty excited to have the roof off. I thought that was going to be a big accomplishment. Here's a view from the outside when I got the first panel off on the 7th ring. This was 7 rings tall. I was quite happy at this point, and you can see a little bit of the scaffolding sticking up that I was using on the inside. Later on in the video you'll see the scaffolding I had built that I could rotate around in order to remove the panels one at a time. Here's a view from the inside showing the scaffolding I had built in order to remove the panels. I'd already had a couple rings taken off at this point. You can see in the picture I used the channels that came from the stirrator to mount the scaffolding on to a pivot point in the middle, so that and I had caster wheels underneath the scaffolding, so as I took the panels off I could rotate it around, take panels off one at a time. There were 10 panels in each ring with the 7 rings, so there was a total of 70 panels to be removed, and I wound up with I think about 3 5-gallon buckets full of 5/16 inch bolts. It was quite time consuming. It's a good thing I didn't know how big a job it was going to be before I started, or I may not have taken it on. But then again, I always get myself into these things. Here I am at the halfway point of taking the panels down. There's 3.5 rings off, and I got 3.5 rings to go. It was feeling real good to be working closer to the ground, not climbing up and down so much, and I could start to see the light at the end of the tunnel here. Here's another quick shot of the inside, and you can see better the way I had set up those channels to mount the scaffolding on with the pivot on the middle to work my way around. Here I am at the point where I don't have to be climbing ladders anymore, so that made me feel good, and I'm starting to get quite excited. Here's another shot from the inside as I'm working on the 2nd and 3rd ring, working my way around, and the 1st ring will be last, and you can see there's a floor in this grain bin. It's called a drying floor. It's perforated corrugated galvanized steel, so the hot air goes underneath the floor of the grain bin and comes up through the corn. So I'm not sure how that floor is supported at this point yet, but I'll find out when I get that far. Here I am with 1.5 rings to go in the floor. At this point, I'm guessing 2 or 3 more days work to finish up, but it wound up taking a little bit longer than that. Here I had already removed the perforated corrugated galvanized steel floor, and I could see what was supporting it. It was about 350 cement blocks stacked too high without mortar, so they were perfectly clean, and I'll be using those in the foundation under my Quonset style building. And across the top of these cement block were 2x6s. So I have a lot of 2x6s too. And it took me all day to load these blocks up because I just had to take my time. I'm not quite as young as I used to be. So thank you once again for watching. I probably won't get around to be starting to put this building back up until next year, but when I do, I'll keep you informed.